You never really know who someone truly loves. Not really. Not until you see the way they look at them when they think no one else is watching. I learned that lesson the hard way. It was the day I finally realized I was the second choice in my own relationship. The day I understood that the story I thought was ours had always belonged to someone else. It all started at a college photography workshop. I met Lena there. We clicked almost instantly. It was one of those rare connections you read about but never expect to find. We had the same dry sense of humor, the same eclectic taste in music, the same burning dream of leaving our small town behind and seeing the world. She had this way of talking, this intensity in her eyes, that made you forget what you were even about to say. I'd known her for all of 3 days before I started thinking in terms of we. Our future felt like a shared canvas, just waiting for us to paint it. Of course, there was a friend group, and at the center of it, besides Lena, was Tyler. He was her best friend from high school. The kind of guy who's effortlessly charming, quiet, but confident. It was just always there. On the edge of every photo, at the end of every inside joke, but I didn't think much of it. I figured everyone has a past, a history that predates you. I was the present, the future. I was naive. A few months flew by, and Lena and I made it official. We were a couple, and Tyler, he was still around. He helped her move into her new apartment. He'd show up with coffee on a random Tuesday. They shared this secret language of inside jokes and knowing glances that I was never fluent in. It wasn't jealousy, not at first. It was more like a quiet confusion, like walking into a movie halfway through and realizing everyone in the theater already knows how it's going to end. I tried to shake it off, telling myself I was overthinking it. He's just a friend, I'd repeat like a mantra. I trusted her. I wanted to trust her. Then came the party. One of those late-night gatherings fueled by cheap snacks and bad decisions. Someone suggested a game of truth or dare. The bottle spun and landed on Tyler. The dare was simple. Almost cliché, name the person in this room you regret not asking out. A hush fell over the circle. He looked around, his eyes landing on Lena for just a second too long. He smiled. A small, sad smile. Then he just said, "Pass." Everyone laughed, breaking the tension. I laughed too, probably a little too loudly, but she didn't. She just looked down at her hands, and in that moment, the silence between them was louder than all the laughter in the room. That was the first crack in the foundation. Weeks went by, and things felt different, strained. I couldn't put my finger on it, but the air between us had grown heavy. One evening, she left her phone on the couch when she went to take a shower. It lit up with a notification, and I glanced over without thinking. The name on the screen was Tyler. The message preview was just 5 words, but they hit me like a physical blow. I missed when it was just us. I didn't pick up the phone. I didn't unlock it to read the rest. I just stared at that screen, the words burning into my mind. I waited that night, lying in the dark. I finally asked her about Tyler, about their past. She hesitated, and that tiny pause, that brief moment of indecision, was all the confirmation I needed. She finally admitted it. "It was before you," she said, her voice barely a whisper. But part of me still wonders what would have happened if he'd said something sooner. That sentence didn't just hurt. It shattered something inside me. Because in that instant, I realized I was never in a competition I could win. I wasn't a choice. I was a replacement. I was the answer to a what if that had nothing to do with me. I didn't explode. I didn't raise my voice or start an argument. What was the point? The fight was already over, and I had lost before I even knew I was playing. The next day I walked her home from campus one last time. We barely spoke. When we reached her door, I just said goodbye. There was no big, dramatic scene. No tears, no pleading, just a profound, deafening silence that said everything that needed to be said. That night, I went home and deleted her number. Not because I hated her, but because I knew myself. I knew that if she called, if she reached out, a part of me would still answer, hoping for a different ending. I had to choose myself. A few months passed, The initial sting of the breakup slowly faded into a dull, persistent ashi. One day, I was scrolling mindlessly through social media when I saw it, a photo of them, Lena and Tyler. They were standing on a beach, smiling, the kind of genuine, unforced smiles you can't fake. The caption underneath read, "Right person, wrong time, finally became right person, right time." And I didn't feel anger. I didn't even feel that much sadness. Just a strange sense of clarity. Maybe they were the right person at the wrong time. But maybe, just maybe, I was too just for someone else entirely. Someone who wouldn't see me as a placeholder. People always talk about heartbreak like it's a devastating ending, a final chapter. But sometimes it's just a reroute, a course correction you didn't know you needed. And as I look back now, I realize that maybe losing her wasn't the worst thing that ever happened to me. Maybe it was the best thing that could have happened for them. And maybe it was the beginning of me finding my own story, one where I'm finally the first choice. Thank you so much for listening to my story. If this resonated with you in any way, I'd be so grateful if you'd like this video and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. It really helps more than, take care.